Hi, everyone. We are here today with Dr. Theresa Bullard, PhD in physics, host of Mystery Teachings on GAIA TV, and international instructor from the Modern Mystery School. She is bridging science and spirituality, and I couldn't be more excited to have her on today. I have lots of questions. I know you sent me questions, so let's get right into it. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, Sarah. It's good to be here.
So you've slowed down from a lot of teaching.
Yeah. Although I don't feel like I've really slowed down too much, but from the teaching aspect and the travel aspect, yeah, that's all on hold at the moment.
So tell us what you've been up to. Like you have a huge fan base with the people that follow me. So what are you up to lately?
Well, let's see. So the first good week and a half of all this at home time, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna decompress. I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna allow myself to sleep because I'd been just going nonstop for too long. So it was actually really a welcome relief, although I was, having to kind of figure out, okay, how am I rescheduling everything? When are we rescheduling everything, right? So after there was all the shuffle and, all of that, I just decided, okay, now it's time to rest. I really feel like this is an opportunity for us to just reset and really take care of ourselves and draw inwards and meditate and do just some introspection and looking at, okay, what is this opportunity giving us? I mean, it's kind of a tragic way of having to make everybody slow down, and yet it is I feel like any negative situation that we're ever exposed to, we can always turn it into a positive. So how are we going to work with this time that we have? Because time is a luxury in our world today. So, we've got all this time now to just sort of let go of all the outer activity and turn inwards and really connect with, okay, what do I need to do to let go of right now? What do I need to do to renew myself and to recover and to be ready for whenever the gates are opened again so that we can get out there and do. And then what is it that we're going to do and focus on during that time? And I actually had a number of goals that I set in early January for what I wanted to be accomplishing this year. And yet with all my heavy travel schedule, I hadn't really had time to get to some of them. So all of a sudden, my schedule got cleared and it's like, oh, well, I've got lots of things that I can, do that were already on my list. So I just redirected my attention.
Well, I have no doubt that you're going to create some amazing things. You are absolutely an alchemist in all kinds of ways. You're always inspiring me. So I would like to know, you did a couple talks about rhythm and weaving in the Hermetic principles into this time. And I would love to talk a little bit about how you feel the energy of the time right now, what's going on, and how we can work with the energy instead of against it.
Yeah. So the principle of rhythm, one of the 7 Hermetic principles, says that all things have their ebb and their flow. Everything has a rhythm to it, and the tides rise and they fall. And there's also this principle of polarity of the pendulum swing. As far as the pendulum might swing to the right, it's going to swing equally to the left. So the way we look at that in how we apply that to our lives is you have your outward movement and you have your inward movement. You have the times when we can be in a flow, in a high, active, creative period where we're outwardly focused and doing things in the world. But inevitably, at some point, the rhythm is going to shift. The tides are going to change, and there's going to be the pulling back, the ebb, where the energies of creative work don't flow as well. And that's usually a time, and we're in that time right now at a global scale. It's like everything is pulling back and saying, okay, just stop everything you're doing, slow down, reassess. You're putting too much out and you need to clean it up. And physically we need to clean up, but also mentally we need to clean up, emotionally we need to clean up. This is a time of that ebb, of slowing down, resetting, purifying, and really drawing inwards so that we can renew and get back in touch with us. Because when we're so in touch with the world out there, and so being driven by, I got to do this next thing, and then I have that, and this obligation, and that, and this creative project I want to work on, and we're always outwardly focused. We kind of lose touch with ourselves and what's going on inside of us. And so when the principle of rhythm is there to help us, right? It's there to keep us in a good, sustainable flow ultimately. And when we're in that time of ebb where the tides are churning, and we're kind of, it's like it's harder to be outwardly directed, that is when we need to turn inwards. But when we don't turn inwards and we don't do the renewal process that we need to do during an ebb, we keep pushing against the current. It's like the current's running downstream and you're trying to flow upstream. And it's exhausting, and we do that in our world a lot today. We might feel depleted and tired, and yet we're still feeling like we have to be producing outwardly. And when we do that, we push against the current of our own biorhythm, and we drain ourselves even more, and then we tend to get sick or burn out or crash. And so right now, it's like the world has said, has been put into this time of, okay, stop, reset, go inwards, and don't keep trying to push against the grain right now, or the current. Like the natural flow is that we need to reset. We need to have this renewal time for ourselves. So when we're in an ebb, if we take advantage of that time to really rest, to take care of ourselves, to meditate, to do spiritual practice, to do journaling or introspection, these kinds of things where we're really spending time with ourselves rather than being so socially and outwardly focused. Then once the tides churn again and we start to have that flow, and the gates are open for us to get out there and do again in the world, then we're going to have all the energy, the excitement. We're going to go out there with passion. We're going to be able to, push through any inertia that might have set in and just like really reboot our society, and hopefully from a place of greater inner connection and alignment with, okay, this is what I really want to create now. And so then we'll be able to really go for it. But if we don't take advantage of this time now, and then once the gates are open, we're still going to feel depleted potentially, and then we'll just kind of fall back into old patterns. So this is a cycle of resetting, realigning, renewing, and then at some point the gates are going to open again, and we'll be able to flow forward, but hopefully creating a new way of life, that's a better way of life.
Yeah, in our mystery school teachings, we are the focus of all mystery schools. We've been taught right from day one is that we're here to facilitate the creation of Shambhala, this new world, this peace. And from my perspective, there has to be some breaking down before a building up of something new. We have to tear down old ways of being to create new ways. Could you elaborate a little bit on your perspective of that and how we can use that for ourselves?
Yeah, so that would come to what I would say is the alchemy that's happening behind the scenes here. And by alchemy, for those who aren't as familiar with what we mean by that in the mystery school, we're meaning the process of transformation. And it's a natural process. It's happening all the time behind the scenes. It's what really drives evolution forward. But when we're aware of that process, we can start to participate with it and collaborate with it. And in doing so, we can speed, right? So we can accelerate the process of transformation by participating with it in the right ways. And so in the alchemical process, there's about 7 stages. Some people will break it down to 12 steps, but the main core of it can break down into 7 steps. And in those 7 steps, there's 3 phases. So if we want to make it really simple, we can talk about there's 3 phases. There's what we call the black phase, the white phase, and the red phase. And they talk about colors as sort of signs of like if they were doing a physical experiment, they would look for the color as a way to note that, oh, it's shifted. It's time to move on to the next stage. But the black phase really means, okay, there's impurities, there's imbalances, there's things there that are corrupting the system, and it's not in its full potential. It's like the essentials are there, but so is all this other crap in the way. And we need to go through a process of breaking down that old form, separating out, what's essential from what's not, dissolving and purifying away what isn't of the highest essence, and then and then finding ways to bring just the pure essences back together again, and then mature that and make sure that there's no subtle impurities still left inside. So the black phase is all this purification process, and this, maybe we could say also this extraction, where we're trying to draw out the pure essence of the gifts, the benefits, the true potential of what's stored within. So for us, the black phase is like strip away the negative ego, your attachments to old paradigm, your physical attachments and things that kind of get in the way and tend to hold us back because of fears. For example, like if we lost that, we kind of hold on to it. So because we fear the loss of that thing, usually it's the comfort zone, or just what's familiar, but it maybe isn't what actually serves us. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of stripping away these old ways that don't serve us anymore. Mm-hmm. So we have been in this black phase of purification and stripping away, both at a personal level as well as at a societal level and a global level. I mean, we're looking at our system and our world and our governments and, our industries and what's working and what's not working. And we're starting to demand, it's like the human spirit, the human collective is demanding change, but we don't necessarily always know how to go about getting that change to happen. So it's like we're calling for it, and we try to go at it with like maybe activism or, resistance to the establishment, or, the rebellion kind of stuff. Like there's all these different ways that people try to go about it. Mm-hmm. And then others are looking at, okay, well, I need to just heal myself. I need to heal what's wrong with me before I can even think about what's going on in the world and what I might be able to do about it. Mm-hmm. And that's usually the best approach, is, that we are all a reflection of the collective. Mm-hmm. So if we want to change the world, just like Gandhi said, you need to be the change. So you need to work on yourself. And then as we work on ourselves individually and we go through that alchemical, we are helping contribute to the collective going through that alchemical process. Mm-hmm. So right now, this time, I've been watching this since probably just before the new millennium. We've gone into a whole alchemical process, and it's been steadily moving forward. Mm-hmm. It's something that I talk about in my book. I have a little, very easy to read book called The Game Changers, right? Social Alchemists in the 21st Century. And I lay out the 7 steps, and I, compare it to the metamorphosis of the caterpillar to a butterfly. And then we talk about how it applies to us in our own lives. But then I also take a look at how is this applying socially within our world at a global scale. And in the past, some people might have been like, yeah, maybe I can see it, maybe. But now all of a sudden they're rereading it. They're like, wait, this is so relevant right now because we're in it. And it was, I wrote that back in 2012 or a little bit before that. So in my GAIA series, actually in season 3, there's an episode where I've updated it. It's on social alchemy. I don't remember. I think it's like the 6th or 7th episode of season 3, and of Mystery Teachings. And that was before all the coronavirus stuff hit. And I said, we're in the fermentation stage now. Wow. And the fermentation stage is like that dark night of the soul, and the final deaths of the old ego and the old paradigm and the old structure, personality, all of that stuff that's just not serving us, that keeps us trapped in this kind of old way of operating. That's dying, it's crumbling before us. And it's being challenged all over the world, just politically. Now we're experiencing, because during fermentation, it's like you have to go into your dark cave, go isolate, go out on your vision quest out in the desert, go be alone, and still like let go of all the outer and come into this deep inner meditative state. And so the stay-at-home orders that we're all getting is like forcing this upon us. And so we really are in this fermentation stage. But what's going to be coming out in some of my video blogs in the next couple weeks is what are we looking forward to?
Cool.
Because as you said, it's about, we're here to create Shambhala. We're here to create a better society. And that's what this is all driving us towards, is there is a better world, a better way of life on earth. And it's up to us to create it, but we have to go through this transformational process. And in that transformation, there's growing pains, there's uncomfortable points along the way in the alchemical process. But through those challenges, we humans adapt, and we get innovative, and we start to think outside the box, and we start to bust into a new paradigm. And that, I think, is what this time right now is forcing upon us. And the key, though, is, are we going to innovate out of fear, or are we going to innovate from love and a vision for a better future? And are we going to innovate from a place of selfishness, or are we going to innovate from a place of, does this benefit the whole, like truly benefit the whole? And there's strategies and solutions potentially that are being discussed right now for how we're going to move forward with our world. But some of them are coming from fear and selfishness and control, and others are coming from, no, we really can use this to reinvent our system, and to create a new system that truly serves the greater good, that truly serves the whole. But those people who are coming with that, I want to serve the whole, and we want to reinvent the system to be better, they're usually the mainstream people. They're the masses. They're the people who really are on the ground, on the front lines, not the leaders. The leaders are still looking for, how are we going to control this situation?
Right.
And so, we're at this time where it's the collective of humanity that is being asked to awaken and take personal responsibility.
Wow.
And to step up.
Wow.
And that's the only way we're going to create Shambhala.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that you just said that, like this, that the collective is being asked to be awakened. It's, and I really have seen that that's the two responses of people. It has either been that people are responding out of fear, or they're responding out of love, and they really are creating they're creating the future for themselves at this time.
Yeah.
And so, you have been training in both science and spirituality for decades. You're such an expert. What tools can we give people out there? Because I feel that people are really looking for that higher connection, that spiritual connection. What tools can we recommend for people to use at this time and moving forward, when we can go back into a routine? Because we don't want to go back into an old routine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like, number one, we have to, at some level, unplug. Like if being plugged into the media is what's causing you to feel anxious and feed into the fear, because the media is constantly pumping the fear. And, if we're getting hooked into that, then, number one, just like, don't be so plugged. Like, you don't have to do every single day, right? Maybe once a week you'll get the updates, or twice a week you can just, I scan the headlines every day, and there's really not much new being said that often, right? So we're at this point where it's like, okay, once or twice a week, go ahead and plug in just to see what the updates are. But take the rest of the time to just really be with you. Like, focus on your joy, focus on your healing, focus on your love, focus on meditation. Like, meditation is a really great tool right now. And, the mystery school there's a whole bunch of people all over and you're probably running some of these too, where we're offering max meditation system online right now through Zoom for free, for people to just tune in and be guided through meditations on a weekly basis or multiple times a week. And that's really, really helpful right now. And max meditation system is, I've learned a lot of different styles and approaches to meditation, and the max meditation system that founder Goodney came up with and handed down through the Modern Mystery School is hands down one of the best meditation systems I've ever been exposed to. Because whether you're a beginner meditator and you think, I can't meditate, or you're an expert meditator and you think, I know how to meditate, you learn this system and it takes you so much deeper than you ever thought you could get, right? It's very powerful. So I definitely recommend that, because this is a reset time, and the max meditation really helps us with our resetting, with our renewal, with recharging, with positive energy and positive power words and so forth that will support us and energize us for what we're going to move forward to. And then the other thing is really, the in Kabbalah we talk about the 5 questions. Who am I? Like, who am I really? So, and it shouldn't have anything to do with your job, or who you are in your family, or your sex or your gender. It shouldn't have anything to do with your name or your personality or anything that you define yourself by in this life.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I is really taking you into connecting with the core essence of you. It's that intelligence, it's that spirit, it's that consciousness that is beyond this physical body, and it's who you were before this life and you will be after this life. And if you can connect in with that coming to know yourself, like, in Kabbalah we talk about just every single day ask yourself this question. We have 5 questions, but if you just focus on that one question right now, just who am I? And every day asking yourself that, you get new answers, and you start to write it down and journal it and affirm it, and you start to grow your knowledge, your remembering of who you are. And as we move forward into creating a better world, it has to rest upon a foundation of each individual really knowing who they are and being in touch with their higher self, with their true self. And so, and then also, what is your unique purpose, right? What are your unique gifts, and how do you want to bring that forward? And so when we can rest on a strong foundation that's based upon self-knowledge, and that's also based upon that, self-acceptance, self-love, but then the next step would be having some form of spiritual practice that you do today, whether it's your meditation, your prayer, some kind of rituals or ceremonial process, something that helps you on a daily basis center and reconnect with your core self, with your true self, and really tap into that energy and that infinite potential that is within you. And we can also talk about, from that center, we can tap into the infinite universal mind and draw from that, right? Draw new innovative ideas coming in from that. And those are the things that are really going to support us in being able to move forward when the time is ripe to move forward. So yeah, does that help? Some tools?
Yes. Oh my gosh, those are great tools. I see that, again, in our teaching to the mystery school, we're brought with concepts of personality versus individuality, and that personality is the aspects of us that we learn, that are learned behaviors, that are programming, or they are masks we wear. If you really don't like your job, you're going to have to put a mask on, because you can't be upset at work all day. You're going to get fired. And I see that with people not having to follow regular routine, they are being confronted with this personality and the who am I, and who is this individuality, who's this personality. And the only answer that ever comes to me is looking at something beyond a physical self, that, the answers just can't lie here in the physical body. So can you, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'm so grateful for it. But can you talk a little bit about that lower self versus the higher self, the lower mind versus the higher mind, so they can have this understanding a bit better, so they can move into that? Because we don't want to delve deeper into our own personality.
Right.
Elevate above that.
Yeah. So, personality tends to be, as you said, it's programmed and defined, and it's ways of being that we've sort of kind of convoluted as a way to cope with the world. And all of the coping strategies that we've developed, and the masks, the way we hide our wounds and hide our true self, and our fears, and all of that kind of comes together and forms the personality, which is somewhat informed by our higher self, but it at the same time, it's obscuring our higher self and who we really are. It distorts it, right? So you can imagine the light from our true self coming down, and it comes into our higher mind and our higher self and the deeper aspects of our soul. And then it comes into our lower mind and lower self and aspects of personality. And then it comes into expression through our ego and through our physical actions. And there's these layers of the self, different dimensions, we could say, of the self.
Mm.
And with each dimension that it comes down, it's like there's little distortions that happen here and there, and or blockages that happen here and there. And then by the time we express our light into the world, it's a shadow of what it should have been. And so what we want to do is we want to clear away those blockages and those distortions of the personality, and a lot of it is based on negative ego and things in the subconscious. So the subconscious backlog of unresolved issues, faulty belief systems, false self-image, all of these, they sort of inform or influence our lower self. And then that's, negative ego stuff that really doesn't serve us. So that's the stuff we want to clear away and heal, and reprogram. And just when you do, and this is a big part of what we do through the mystery school teachings, right? So through, it already starts to intuitively happen just from a life activation.
Yeah.
And then when people receive the Empower Thyself initiation, it's like that's the main work that really starts to happen. But we do it alchemically. We're working this spiritual alchemy, and the energy comes in through the practices that we implement into our daily life, and it just starts to transmute it and shed that away little by little, but at a faster rate than if you were to try and go at it with psychology and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when we do the Ascension program of Ascending the Tree of Life with Universal KABBALAH, it is the KABBALAH is a very accelerated look, and really looking at all the details of how our mind works, how our personality works, how our soul works, and really being able to identify exactly where is this little thing getting in the way, or where is that old issue that I haven't addressed, and how is that informing my life today, and what do I need to heal, and doing it again with this spiritual alchemy system that really helps to accelerate our transformational process, and catalyzes that growth. And what I see happen with people is that as they do the work of cleaning it up and ascending and moving beyond the old personality stuff, it's like the light of their true self can just shine through more transparently and clearly, and they manifest more, and they start to show up in the world in a different way that's more balanced, more centered, more like I handled that so much better than I would have, a year ago before doing all of this work. Those are the types of things we hear people say all the time. So it's this amazing system that really supports our accelerated evolution and progression, that I absolutely love. I mean, I haven't seen anything else out there in the world that helps people transform and guides them step by step through the process as much as I have with the Mystery School path, and both the path of initiation and the Kabbalistic work. And so it's when we can just shed away the masks of the personality, our true self shines through. So it's not like you're going to lose your identity. It's that you're just going to be letting go of the lesser, all the faulty coping strategies in order to reclaim the greater, to be who you truly are. And I guarantee that when you do that, you're going to feel happier. You're going to have more joy in life. You're going to be manifesting more. You're going to be rocking it. You're going to get really positive, much more positive feedback from people around you. They're going to notice like, oh, there's something different about you. You're just brighter. You seem lighter. You seem less anxious. All of these things, really start to happen in our life through the magic, the lineage tools that we have in the Mystery School.
Theresa, you are mesmerizing. Your bridging together spirituality and science is such a beacon of hope for people. It is allowing people to bridge these two parts of their mind together and to really ascend into a higher place. Before we go, because what I would like to do with all of this is to bring more hope into the world. Do you have any last words of hope for people before we say goodbye for the day?
Yeah, you know what? We are totally going to get through this. And I feel that the more we just really take advantage of this time to do our reset, to renew, to reconnect with who we are and what we're really, what's really most important to us. And I really feel that there's these themes of, you know, um, how can I become more aware and mindful of how my choices and my actions and my behaviors are impacting the whole? And to, you know, even if it's just the people immediately around me, but also the people they affect and the people they affect, you know, this is really becoming present in our minds right now. And then to also realize, like, oh, we are social people. Like, it's very hard for us to not be out there connecting with each other. So that's, I think we're going to really be able to come into this point of really appreciating our opportunities to connect with each other in more authentic ways once we are able to move past this social distancing stuff. And, you know, and a lot of people are saying, you know, it's physical distancing, not social distancing. So we can be connected like we are, you know, through Zoom and through the phone, just pick up and reach out to people and connect. But when we are able to start physically gathering again, I think that we're going to have so much more appreciation for the meaning and the importance of those connections, authentic connections in our lives. And then also, you know, how do I impact the whole? And how do each of us, like, what responsibility do each of us have to the global situation? You know, what can we do to stay, you know, we're, to me, the next phase of the alchemy is to move into a time where we take the lessons learned and we really start to implement them and integrate them into our life. We talk about in alchemy, it's called distillation, where we do our good practices to raise up and to connect with our higher true self and that core essence, and meditate and bring in that energy and that alignment. And then we need to bring it back down into our physical life and apply it and integrate it and manifest it. And then we go again and we connect again with our spiritual practice and connecting to our higher self. And then we bring it back down and we integrate it and we apply it and we live it. And the more that we keep doing this and implementing these good practices as a way of life versus this is just a short-term temporary thing, you know, so practicing good hygiene on a regular basis, practicing greater mindfulness and awareness of how might I be influencing and impacting other people around me, practicing this, you know, this greater level of valuing our social connections. You know, these types of things can really help us move the collective consciousness into a whole new way of being in this world and interacting with each other and you know, realizing what's important. And so that's moving towards the distillation process where we really start to integrate that into our society, into our way of life on earth, and sustain the good things that are being learned here, the good practices that are being developed here. And then hopefully move forward into a way of life that has that ongoing rhythm, in a good way, where we're finding the balance between active and renewing, right? So outward and inward and outward and inward, and continuing that on a day by day basis versus outward, 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 and then everything has to crash inwards.
Yes.
Right? So finding a better way, like instead of the rhythm being like these big swings like this, we want to find a rhythm where it's, you know, on a daily basis, it's a faster frequency, but we're integrating both the ebb and the flow into our daily lives. So those are some things for people to really start thinking about, like how can I move forward into the world in a way where I really integrate these good practices into my life daily, so that we can really be a part of creating Shambhala. And I feel like this is a negative situation, but we are turning it into a positive when we take that personal responsibility, and we're going to get through this and we're going to emerge, I think, in a really good way. Much more empowered and ready to be part of the solution.
Well, thank you so much for your service. You've just given us so much to think about, you know, and you're really bringing words to so much energy that's influencing us all the time, so that we can be a participant in this way and not be moved necessarily always back and forth by energy around us, but really participate in it. So thank you so much, Theresa, for being here. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for the invitation and for putting this out there as well.
Oh,
So
thanks.
to really serve and yeah, you know, let's all start being the captain of our ship and active participants rather than passengers, you know, kind of getting thrown this way and that way by outer circumstances, right? we can
So
navigate these waters.
where can people connect with you or find more about you? Tell us all the places we can learn more about what Theresa Bullard does.
Yeah, so my main website is theresabullard.com, Theresa with an H. And they can also, so there's all kinds of just links to the various things that I do on that website. And if they want to subscribe to my newsletter, they'll get, whenever I put out new video blogs or written blogs and other announcements, they'll be informed on that. And then the mystery teaching series on Gaia TV, they can either go to mysteryteachings.com or they can go to gaia.com/Theresa Bullard, and it'll give them like a portal. So my portal on Gaia, the first video in the list of different, videos by me is free to watch.
Yeah.
So they can watch a whole episode there for free. And then if they decide that they want more, to watch the rest of the various seasons, and Gaia has a lot of really good content on it, actually. So those are just, it's kind of like a Netflix for spirituality. It's more a subscription type thing, but there's a lot of content on there that I think generally is very supportive of people. So those are the two main places. And then of course, check out the Modern Mystery School. And we hope, right now there's not a whole lot happening other than the online meditations and, some of those types of things happening. But once all this stay-at-home order stuff is letting up, then definitely recommend people start with going and getting that life activation and a kind of a reboot to help align you with your higher self and higher potential. And then check out the initiation, Empower Thyself, and other next steps depending on where you're at.
Thank you. I will post all of those links below in the video so people can just click and find you easily without problems. But again, thank you, Dr. Theresa Bullard, for being here. It's been an honor, and I hope that we can have you on again one day soon.
Thank you, Sarah. It'll be a pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Bye.